Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the TeacherCast Podcast. My name is Jeff Bradbury. Thank you so much for joining us today and making TeacherCast your home for professional development. Today, we are not talking about technology at all. I repeat, we are not talking about technology. In fact, no technology is going to be mentioned at all today on the show. What am I talking about? Is this the right episode? Absolutely. Last year, we had an opportunity to meet a great company called mcSquares. It is a fantastic company that's using whiteboard technology. Up there, I use that word in a very, very evolutionary way. We're here to have a fantastic time today. We've got Anthony on from mcSquares. We're going to be learning 3 different things that you in your classroom can be doing with whiteboards and how mcSquares can be a part of your classroom technology. There, I said it again, guys. I don't know about this one. There's, of course, several great ways that you can reach out and be a part of this and all of our shows. We want to know how you guys are doing out there as we go through our school year. Please check us out over at teachercast.net/voicemail and let us know how you're doing. My guest today is the co-founder of mcSquares, returning to the TeacherCast Podcast, Anthony Franco. How are you today? Welcome to the show.
I'm doing good. How are you today? Thanks for having me.
I am doing wonderful. And I got to tell you, for the last year, people have been looking at TeacherCast and going, what is that thing behind your head? And for anybody that's been watching the show in the background here, I've been having this whiteboard with my initials on it. And that is an mcSquare. Talk to us a little bit about these things that I have back here. What are mcSquares?
Well, mcSquares are handheld dry erase tablets that easily snap on a wall to create larger collaborative systems. What you have back there is what we call version 1. It has these transparent dry erase tops, and they have templates that go inside of it, and they snap over a system, and then they snap on a wall using a mounting bracket. And we just launched on Kickstarter version 2. That's taken into a lot of the teacher and customer feedback that we've had to make them easier to pry open and work on existing dry erase boards rather than having to put our mounting bracket on it. So we've really kind of geeked out on whiteboards again and leveled up the initial mcSquare.
Now, I see you have a bunch of those version 2s behind you. Yep. They look spectacular. Now, we started off the show today by saying this is not technology. Would you agree with that? Are whiteboards considered technology?
Well, my background is software development. I ran a fairly large software development agency prior to this. So when I hear technology, I think screens. And so I'm fine with calling this an analog product and not using the word technology. I'm running away from tech and getting into more how people engage one-on-one instead of what we're doing here, which is screen communication. And so, yeah, I'm fine with not using the word technology when talking about mcSquares.
Well, when I'm looking at this, people say, well, what do you do with it? And I'll start off the bat. I'll give you my favorite way of using it. It is the perfect teaching tool for this is the first podcast I'm going to say this, my almost 4-year-old toddlers. I give them the marker. We practice our letters. I have a few of them here. And so I lined up all the kids, and some of them are getting it, and some of them are just using it as like a drawing device. But we're going to get there. It is the perfect device for anybody teaching young kids. There is no trash. It's self-cleanup. You can put it in the dishwasher, by the way. I don't know if you guys knew that one.
I didn't know that.
But they're absolutely fantastic. And at least with version 1, when you turn it over, you get a Lego board on the back. And that was awesome. Talk to us a little bit about the differences, again, between version 1 and version 2 here. Because you said version 2 is going to be shipping soon, I believe, right?
Yeah, so we're actually manufacturing them now and shipping them in a couple of weeks, beginning shipping in a couple of weeks. So we're really close to replacing version 1. We did lose the standard toy brick system on the back. We just, again, customer research showed that our customers and teachers and kids were just not using them that much. So instead, we created what we call a 4-in-1. So it still has this template system on the inside, and instead of the toy brick system on the back, we put a black back, so you can use it as a dry erase tile like you could on an mcSquare. This is also dry erase, and you can flip it around and make it a liquid chalk wet erase board. And then you take this completely out, and you can snap it and layer MC Square ideas on top of one another. So they layer and stack on top of one another. So you can start having students create something on one tile and then stack another one on top of it.
That's pretty neat. Is that friction based or is that magnets?
So these are magnets. These are rare earth magnets that snap. These will mount on any magnetic dry erase board, and then these mount on top of each other and stack.
So any current dry erase board, magnetic board, whatever you have, you could just put this thing right up on top of that. That's pretty neat.
Yep.
So let's take a look at how teachers are using this, right? Because I've come up with my own. Like I like the term toddler tech, but what are you seeing teachers using mcSquares for?
So and it depends on the grade level. So when we're looking at elementary school and middle school, teachers are using the drawing guides quite a bit, like you are, where they either use ours or they print out their own and slide them inside of an mcSquare. And basically print out, think of drawing guides as guided learning. So they're pieces of paper to guide discussion and learning. And so they put them underneath, and then students get to write their answers or think on top of a template. And then when you get into higher middle school or high school, and I should mention that teachers hand these out to individual students at their desk. And the kids get to think independently at their desk without having to shout things to the front of the classroom. And then once they're completed with their ideas or their lesson, they can bring them back up to the wall. And that's the whole point of mcSquares.
Wait when you get into, are you telling me that with a whiteboard you could have creativity, collaboration, communication, and critical thinking?
Are you writing my website copy for us? Because that's great. Yeah. So obviously one-to-one schools and schools with lots of technology, that technology serves a really great purpose, access to content, but you lose the awareness of the team or the group by being sucked into the screen. So what mcSquares do is they allow you to think individually, but also think in a team environment. So sometimes students will do this one-to-one, or they'll have a group setting, a small group setting, where groups will have individual mcSquares and write down their ideas as they're creating their geography plan or their science plan, or how cells transport proteins between one another, and then they'll bring that back up to the wall. So that's more high school, where they get into group environments, and then also high school and even higher learning. These are fabulous in like maker spaces or libraries, where you want people to think in project-based terms and move ideas across, as you're looking behind me, across a timeline.
So I would imagine, and I'm looking for those of you who are maybe in your car, and this is an audio show for you, if you can imagine all of these squares connected to each other, I would imagine here, Anthony, this is a great way to teach coding and programming, right? Because you've got all of these little blocks, and a lot of coding right now is block-based. You could easily come up with some kind of a Scratch-based, or you could take the little Scratch blocks, blow them up, print them out, and put them on individual mcSquares, and you could teach block-based coding, or, I mean, really, it's endless on that, but I'm just looking at a big, huge coding, programming, STEM class behind you.
Yeah, STEM is definitely an area where we're seeing a lot of traction. And in addition, outside of education settings, mcSquares are extremely popular in actual development shops. So if you know anything about development, you've heard of Agile and Scrum development, and those development teams, those coding teams, use mcSquares to build large systems and carve those systems up into smaller chunks to make them easier to understand and code over time.
Now, as far as obtaining one of these things, where does somebody go? Can we order them from your website? Are they on another online company? Where do we go to pick one of these up?
Yeah, so right now, these are like half off on Kickstarter, and that goes to the end of the month, end of October. And then you can just go straight to mcsquares.com. And then we are developing relationships with much larger distributors of education and office products. So look for these also from your supplier. If you're at a school, look for them or ask for them from your standard supplier, and they'll very likely have them in 2018.
I got to tell you, I've been using one of these mcSquares now for the better part of a year. I use them with my 3-year-olds. I use them with my 12th graders. And I also find when I'm writing blog posts, I just use it to jot down some things. They're absolutely fantastic. And I love that more and more teachers are using them in the classroom for curricular stuff. It is one of those tools that, if you have a student that isn't necessarily technology focused, maybe they have an IEP, maybe they have some special requirements for their learning environments, this stuff is absolutely perfect, wouldn't you say?
There's no learning curve to dry erase. You hand a student a pen, you hand them a dry erase tile, and they're off and running. And interestingly enough, we have teachers replacing their smart boards or their Promethean boards with an mcSquare wall. They don't break down. They're very durable. They're easy to learn, and they offer more of a collaborative environment. And even we just conducted a study with DU locally here in Colorado, and they found that mcSquares in classrooms compared to classrooms without mcSquares lift test scores by 40%.
Wow.
And they lift passing grades by over 300%. And we actually had to reconduct the study because we didn't believe that number, but both studies have shown 40% lift in test scores and 340% lift in passing grades. It's incredible.
What is I got to ask you this question here, Anthony, but what is the cost?
So we sell them in systems, and generally speaking, to put a system in a classroom of 32 students is around $2,800. So they sell for $85 a tile, and that $2,800 includes 32 mcSquares and an entire magnetic dry erase board. So it's a very large system.
The website is mcsquares.com. It's spelled just how it's spelled. And of course, I would highly recommend check them out. You can go to mcsquares.com/YouTube or /Facebook. You can find them on Twitter at @MC_squares. Lots of great stuff. I mean, I got to say, Anthony, your stuff has certainly been helpful with my kids. And certainly as they get older, we're using it more and more. In fact, I got to tell you, when my kids are in between meals and they're all at the table, they're there with their dry erase board. So it's kind of cool stuff. So I want to say thank you guys out there. As we started off saying, this wasn't a technology show, and I think you guys can agree it kind of wasn't, but it might have been. We want to know what you think. Are dry erase boards technology? Can you use them in an EdTech classroom? Are mcSquares an EdTech company? There's a question for him. We'll have to ask him that one on the next time he goes around. We want to know what you think and how you can use mcSquares in your classroom. You can, of course, check them out over at mcsquares.com, and you can find us on TeacherCast.net. And please reach out to us on Twitter over at TeacherCast. On behalf of everybody here on the TeacherCast Educational Broadcasting Network, my name is Jeff Bradbury. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Keep up the great work in your classrooms, everybody, and continue sharing your passions with your students.